can start. So one of you has to read. Maybe Sunki can read today.
Yes, I will read.
Go ahead, read. It does not.
Okay. It does not follow that this is all that the vital personality is in its native composition, or that evil is its very nature. It is not primarily concerned with the truth and good, but it can have the passion for truth and good, as it has, more spontaneously, the passion for joy and beauty. In all that is developed by the life force, there is developed at the same time a secret delight somewhere in the being, a delight in good and a delight in evil, a delight in truth and a delight in falsehood, a delight in life and an attraction to death, a delight in pleasure, a delight in pain, in its own suffering and the suffering of others, but also in one's own joy and happiness and good, and the joy and happiness and good of others. For the force of life affirmation affirms alike the good and the evil. It has its impulses of help and association of generosity, affection, loyalty, self-giving. It takes up altruism as it takes up egoism, sacrifices itself as well as it destroys others, and in all its acts there is the same passion for life affirmation. Life affirmation, the same force of action and fulfillment. This character of vital being and its trend of existence, in which what we term good and evil are items but not the mainspring, is evident in subhuman life. In the human being, since there a mental, moral, and psychic discernment has developed, it is subjected to control or camouflage, but it does not change its character. The vital being and its life force and their drive toward self-affirmation are, in the absence of an overt action of soul power and spiritual power, Atma Shakti, nature's chief means of effectuation, and without its support, neither mind nor body can utilize their possibilities or realize their aim here in existence. It is only if the inner or true vital being replaces the outer life personality that the drive of the vital ego can be wholly overcome and the life force become the servant of the soul and a powerful instrumentation for the action of our true spiritual being.
Okay, a very interesting paragraph, and we'll have a look at it. Before we start reading, remember that everything in the lower hemisphere, our body, mind, life, has its origin in the supermind and the Satchidananda. So you can say in this way, Sat becomes the body. Okay? Sat is a substance and it becomes matter universally, and individually it becomes a body. Okay? Then Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti is force and consciousness, and it becomes the vital, pure power. Okay? It becomes the vital when it comes down. And Ananda becomes the psychic being in man, in the descent. Okay. Then what about the mind? It's a super mind that's the origin of the mental being. So these things are coming from top. And when it is coming down, Chit Shakti is starting from the highest level. It is absolutely pure. So in the evolutionary world, the vital is of enjoyment. Okay. But pure enjoyment. There is no evil in the left ladder, if you want. There is a left ladder and a right ladder. The left ladder is coming down and the right ladder is going up evolution. And the problem starts at the evolutionary level, at the vital level. Because you don't know where you're going. You're starting, so you make mistakes. And mistakes can also give you suffering and also wrong action. So the analysis is so beautiful, you can understand. So in other words, falsity, evil, suffering are a byproduct of evolution. So it is byproduct of evolution at the vital level, it becomes very obvious. Okay? So keep this in mind. Divine is not responsible for evil and suffering and falsehood, but it's a product, it's a result of the evolution. Okay? So now, It does not follow. I'm reading each sentence, it's very interesting. Vyoti has told us in the previous para, if you remember yesterday's, the description is absolutely fantastic. I'm just saying, I'm just reading the main characteristics of the vital. Okay, the life individual. I'm reading from the previous para. Okay, just listen to it because you may not find the reference, but I'm reading from the text only. The what is the character of the vital? Satisfaction, growth, strength, greatness of the vital ego. The life individual needs place, expansion. In other places, it needs a place in the sun. Okay, possession of its world, dominance, control of things and beings. None of this is bad. Okay, these are all good. To find a place and expansion, possession of its world, dominance and control of things and beings. It needs life room, a space in the sun. There you are. Okay, space in the sun. Self-assertion, survival. All these things are part of the vital. But it turns into the naked use of violence, ruse, trickery, okay, falsehood, destructive aggression, crushing of other life forms. Okay, then you have all these things, the intolerance, violence, suppression, oppression, intolerance, aggression. This is the nature of the hatred and dislike, cruelty, treachery. The whole paragraph is full of all this. So you may get the impression that the vital is all bad. Okay? Now, certainly saying it's not all bad because it's coming from Chit Shakti. How can it all be all bad? But in the evolutionary, it gets covered over by all this dirt. Okay? Because you don't know where you're going. So it does not follow that this is all that the vital personality is in its native composition, or that evil is its very nature. It is not so. It's only a byproduct. Okay? Of the pure energy is the nature of the vital essentially. Pure energy. Okay? So, and if you purify the vital, the human vital, it becomes full of energy. Okay? So, it is not primarily concerned with truth and good. The vital is not interested, it is only interested in enjoyment. Okay? That's its nature, you can't find fault with it. It's nature. The nature of the body is to exist, sir. The nature of the vital is to enjoy. The nature of the mind is to seek for knowledge. Okay? So these are the basic fundamental characteristics of the body-mind life. Okay? So, it is not primarily concerned with truth and good, but it can have passion for truth and good as it has more spontaneously the passion for joy and beauty. So if joy is there, then beauty also comes in. Okay, so that joy and beauty. In all that is developed, if that was not there, if joy and beauty were not there in the vital, all art is coming from the vital. 90% of the time it's from the vital. The vital is the one that creates, and all art is creation. So it comes from there. But it can have the passion for truth and good as it has more spontaneously the passion for joy and beauty. In all that is developed by the life force, there is developed at the same time a secret delight somewhere in the being. A delight of good and a delight in evil. That's the problem. Delight irrespectively, okay, without discrimination, takes delight in everything. So delight in good is the moral aspect of man. And a delight in evil is the perversion. That also is there. Okay. In everybody it is there. Okay. Suppose your enemy is in trouble, you will take delight. It serves him right. Okay, so it is there in everybody. Okay, a delight in evil, and perverse habits also are there in humanity. We know that. So that is what happens. The delight in evil, a delight in truth, and a delight in falsehood. Purposely, people tell lies also. Okay, so that also is there. A delight in life and an attraction to death. Suicide. Okay. Attraction to death, that is also there. You want to kill yourself. a delight in pleasure and a delight in pain. Okay? Even pain can be enjoyed. It's a very, those who have studied psychology know that, okay? There's a delight in pain in your own suffering and the suffering of others, okay? The suffering of others is more enjoyable probably, and the suffering, your own suffering also is when one looks into oneself and one sees all this, very interesting. But also in one's own joy and happiness and good, and the joy and happiness and good of others, that also is there. So the vital is a very mixed affair. When purified, it becomes only the positive things of the vital. Positive, never positive, negative. But mostly it is covered up by the negative, so that's the reason why all these things come in one's own suffering and the suffering of others, but also in one's own joy and happiness and good, and joy and happiness and good of others. For the force of life affirmation affirms alike the good and the evil. It has its impulses of help and association. Okay? It can help and associate. It can help others. Okay? Of generosity, affection, loyalty, self-giving. It takes up altruism as it takes up egoism, sacrifices itself as well as destroys others. In all its acts, there is the same passion for life affirmation, the same force of action and fulfillment. The patriotism, the patriot that says that I don't mind dying for my country, that's a vital, okay? This character of vital being and its strength of existence in which we can term, in which what we term good and evil are items, but not the mainspring, is evident in subhuman life. So what Swami is saying is very interesting now. Is it? If you want to see the nature of the vital, look at the subhuman life in the animal world. This character of vital being and its trend of existence in which what we term good and evil are items, but not the mainspring, is evident in subhuman life. In the human being, since there is a mental, moral and psychic discernment has developed, it is subjected to control or to camouflage. You can fool yourself also, you can camouflage. But it does not change its character. The vital remains vital, good and bad mixed. The vital being and its life force and their drive towards self-affirmation are, in the absence of an overt action of soul power and spiritual power, Atma Shakti, nature's chief means of effectuation. And without its support, neither mind nor body can utilize their possibilities or realize their aim here in existence. So, it's just remember that the vital is energy, power, pure power. Now, a motor car cannot go unless it is given power. Exactly in the same way, it is your vital that makes you think and makes you move the body. Okay, it is the in synthesis. If you remember, in one of the earlier chapters, he says that there is a mind above and there is a body below, and the vital is like a nave. The spokes that go out from the center of the nave, it goes out to the circumference. It goes out everywhere. Okay, so this is the nature of the vital. Without the vital, mind will not think, and without the vital, the body also will not be able to move. It's a power that moves things. Okay, so that's what he's saying then. And he's saying also that the fundamental nature of the vital remains unless the psychic has come forward or the self has come forward. The vital being and its life force and their drive towards self-formation are, in the absence of an overt action of soul power. When the psychic has come forward, it is different. But when the psychic has not come forward, or spiritual Atma Shakti, nature's chief means of effectuation. When the soul power is there and the self is realized, then the vital is purified. Its action is purified. But if it is not there, nature gives the vital so that things can get done. Okay, all action it needs vital. Nature's chief means of effectuation. You can also think of it another way. You use different words. If desire is not there in the animal or the human being, he will not act. It is desire that forces you to act. That's what Sendo means by nature's chief means of effectuation. To get action and get results. Effectuation. Okay? And without its support, neither mind nor body can utilize their possibilities or realize their aim in existence. The vital is absolutely essential. It is only if the inner or true vital being replaces the outer life personality that the drive of the vital ego can be wholly overcome and the life force become the servant of the soul and a powerful instrumentation for the action of our true spiritual being. So those who purify their vital, it becomes a tremendous instrument. Okay? And this is the symbol of Hanuman. Okay? Hanuman is a psychicized vital. He is a representative of the psychicized vital. When the vital is psychicized, the power is immense, infinite. It can do all sorts of things. It can carry a whole hill, because that Sanjeevani story, if you remember, he didn't know which plant to bring, so he brought the whole hill. And he could burn entire Lanka with his tail, not only his, but his tail he could do that. So he can also become as big as he wants and he can become as small as he wants. So he is a symbol of the vital, psychicized vital. This is what Shendra is saying. But if it is not there, the psychic influence is not there, the vital has got this mixed action. In each individual, different. Sometimes the good can prevail over the evil, sometimes the evil can prevail over the good. But in normal human beings, both are there mixed always, evil as well as good. So this is those analysis of the vital. Okay, so now we can go to the next one. Yeah, we have to read now. Sunki has read the first one. Archana, if you have got the text, you can read.
Yes, we can read. Yes.
Go
Just
ahead.
once. The beginning is this, then is the origin, no?
Yeah, this then is the origin.
Yes. This then is the origin and nature of error, falsehood, wrong and evil in the consciousness and will of the individual. A limited consciousness growing out of nuisance is the source of error. A personal attachment to the limitation and the error born of it, the source of falsity. A wrong consciousness governed by the life ego, the source of evil. But it is evident that the relative existence is only a phenomenon thrown up by the cosmic force in its drive towards evolutionary self-expression, and it is there that we have to look for the significance of the phenomenon. For the emergence of the life ego is, as we have seen, a machinery of cosmic nature for the affirmation of the individual, for his self-disengagement from the indeterminate mass substance of the subconscient, for the appearance of a conscious being on a ground prepared by the inconscience. The principle, a life affirmation of the ego, is the necessary consequence. The principle of life affirmation of the ego is the necessary consequence. The individual ego is a pragmatic and effective fiction, a translation of the secret self into the terms of surface consciousness, or a subjective substitute for the true self in a surface experience. It is separate by ignorance from other self and from the inner divinity, but it is still pushed secretly towards an evolutionary unification in diversity. It has behind itself, though finite, the impulse of the infinite, but this, in the terms of an ignorant consciousness, translates itself into the will to expand, to be a boundless finite, to take everything it can into itself, to enter into everything and possess it, even to be possessed if by that it can feel itself satisfied and growing in
or through others, or can take into itself by subjection the being and power of others, or get thereby a help or an impulse for its life affirmation, its life delight, its enrichment of its mental, vital, or physical existence.
Yeah. So, the very interesting paragraph again. Now, Srimbo is now justifying. Okay? He is explaining the reason why the vital is like that. Okay? So, it's very interesting what he's saying. So, and the first 4 or 5 lines are absolutely a magnificent resume of the whole chapter. It's a huge chapter. We have got, there's a 29th paragraph. Okay, it's a huge one. And he's explaining in very short the origin of error, falsehood, and evil. So, first of all, this then is the origin and nature of error, falsehood, wrong, and evil in the consciousness and will of the individual. A limited consciousness growing out of nations is a source of error. Very clear. Okay? A limited consciousness growing out of darkness, you don't know where you're going. So naturally you make a mistake. Okay? It's a source of error. A personal attachment to the limitation and the error born of it, the source of falsity. Okay? The personal attachment to the limitation. You don't want to. And why is the personal attachment there also? Again, remember the principle of tamas. You don't want to go away. You stick to something. Now, the personal attachment also is a direct result of tamas. Tamas is the one that doesn't want change. So, if you don't want change, the attachment also is explained. Yeah? So, this very interesting. You think about it. Attachment, why does it come? Because you don't want to change. Okay? And that is the principle of tamas. So, personal attachment to the limitation and the error born of it is a source of falsity. A wrong consciousness governed by the life ego is a source of evil. Now, the analysis continues, but there is a summary of what he has said. But it is evident that their relative existence, okay, is only a phenomenon thrown up by the cosmic force in its drive towards evolutionary self-expression. Not in the involutionary, but in the evolutionary self-expression, these things come up. And they are all phenomena. They are not fundamental realities. Evil is not a fundamental reality. It's a phenomenon. It is something that is a result of the evolution. So there is a very interesting. There is no evil in the divine. We have discussed this, if you remember, just as good is fundamental, is also evil fundamental. He has discussed that earlier also in this chapter. But now he is coming very clearly, it is not a fundamental reality. Darkness is not a fundamental reality like light is. Okay? So, in unconscious also, all these things are not fundamental. They are results. Okay? But it is evident that their relative existence is only a phenomenon thrown up by the cosmic force and its drive towards evolutionary self-expression. And it is there. Also, note interestingly, evolutionary self-expression. So, what is self-expression of what? Who is trying to self-express itself? Satchidananda, which has come down and plunged into inconscience, is trying to go back to where it came from. It's covered up, so it is trying to express its nature. I am this. Okay, it's trying to express its nature. That's the evolution. Very interesting. Then the word self-expression immediately makes it very clear what he's saying. Okay, so it is the Satchidananda from top which has come down to the inconscient, and from there it is saying, I want to go back to where I came from. It is trying to express itself, and the expression takes place in slow steps. Okay, so that's it. How he is describing towards evolutionary direction, and it is there that we have to look for the significance of the phenomenon. So what's he saying? He's saying that why is the vital like that? The phenomenon of the vital being the source of all evil, falsehood, and suffering. Okay? Now, the next is very interesting. See how it comes. For the emergence of the life ego is, as we have seen, a machinery of cosmic nature for the affirmation of the individual. Okay? Now, again, come back to the law of the one becoming the many. Okay? When the one becomes the many and goes back into the inconscient, again you are starting from the one only. Okay? So, the one inconscient is producing individuality because it's trying to go back to where it came from. So, the individuality, and the individuality means, when can an individuality be developed? When it separates itself from others. Otherwise, it's a vast, just a stretch of oneness. Okay? So, this is the problem. So, when the individuality comes in, necessarily it has to separate itself from the others. Then that's the ego that comes in. He is explaining so beautifully. Right? So, the ego has to come in. The sense of separating itself from others. Otherwise, their individuality will not develop. Okay? Those who are individuals, their ego, their consciousness of being separate from others is very clear cut. Okay? So, for the emergence of the life ego, as we have seen, a machinery of cosmic nature for the affirmation of the individual. He has to affirm himself. He has to insist that he is separate. For his self-disengagement from the indeterminate mass of substance of the subconscious. The indeterminate mass of substance of subconscious is one. Okay? It's one stretch of infinite unconsciousness. So now if consciousness it has to develop out of that, naturally it has to make individuals out of it, then you have to get the principle of separation. And the principle of separation will give you the ego. So that's what he's saying. The principle of life affirmation of the ego is a necessary consequence. Very, very interesting how he's going step by step and saying. Then the individual ego is a pragmatic and effective fiction, a translation of the secret self into the terms of surface consciousness. In other words, the secret self is the self, and the shadow in the physical world is the ego, the shadow. The ego is a very faint shadow of the self. So there's a reality to it, but it has got distorted, and it's the lowest part of the self is the ego. You can say in that way. So the individual ego is a pragmatic and effective fiction, a translation of the secret self into the terms of self-as consciousness. A subjective substitute. Note that, interestingly. It's not objective, huh? The individuality is not objective. It is subjective, he's saying. Okay? For the true self in our surface experience, it is separated by ignorance from other self and from the inner divinity. So when ego comes in and wants to remain fixed in its own, naturally ignorance comes in. Okay, so it is ignorant of all others. It doesn't know because it's separate from the inner divinity. But it is still pushed secretly towards the evolutionary unification in diversity. The oneness trying to become the many. It has behind itself, though finite, the impulse of the infinite. Why? Because Satchidananda at the lowest level is infinite. And therefore, it is the infinite that is pushing the finite to go back to where it came from. That's it. The evolutionary urge, that's an explanation. If the infinite, there was no involution, there will be no evolution. The evolution is a result of the involution. But it is still pushed secretly towards an evolutionary unification in diversity. It has behind itself, though finite, the impulse to the infinite. But this, in the terms of an ignorant consciousness, translates itself into the will to expand. Because you are limited and the infinite is there trying to push you towards that. So the will to expand, go back to and become infinite. To be the boundless finite. The finite, you are a finite, but you want to become boundless. To take everything it can into itself. To enter into everything and possess it. Even to be possessed, if by that it can feel itself satisfied and growing in or through others, or can take into itself by subjection the being and the power of others, or get thereby a help or an impulse for its life affirmation in life delight, its enrichment of its mental, vital, and physical existence. So, he is explaining the necessary development, evolutionary development of the vital from the mass to the individual. And the individual at this level is separated. By the very definition of an individual, you are separated from others. If you are not separated from others, there is no individuality. It becomes mass, it becomes the many, the infinite one. This is what he's saying. So, and then follows the, if ego is there, then all the consequences follow. That's the explanation of the necessity of the ego. He has told us where it is there, but now he's telling us why it is necessary. Okay, so then we can go to the next one, 32. We have got 8 minutes. We can read one more paragraph. It's not a very big one. So, who has got the text? Kiran, you have not read for many days. If you are there and you have the text, you can read.
Yes, Ranga.
Okay, read the text, but because.
Yes. But because it does these things as a separate ego for its separate advantage, and not by conscious interchange and mutuality, not by unity, life discord, conflict, disharmony arise, and it is the products of this life discord and disharmony that we call wrong and evil. Nature accepts them because they are necessary circumstances of the evolution, necessary for the growth of the divided being. They are products of ignorance, supported by an ignorant consciousness that founds itself on division, by an ignorant will that works through division, by an ignorant delight of existence that takes the joy of division. The evolutionary intention acts through the evil as through the good. It has to utilize all because confinement to a limited good would imprison and check the intended evolution. It uses any available material and does what it can with it. This is the reason why we see evil coming out of what we call good and good coming out of what we call evil. And if we see that, and if we see what was thought to be evil coming to be accepted as good, what was thought to be good accepted as evil, it is because our standards of both are evolutionary limited evil. It is because our standards of both are evolutionary limited and mutable. Evolutionary nature, the terrestrial cosmic force, seems then at first to have no preference for either of these opposites. It uses both alike for its purpose, and yet it is the same nature, the same force that has burdened man with a sense of good and evil and insists on its importance. Evidently, therefore, this sense also has an evolutionary purpose. It too must be necessary. It must be there so that man may leave certain things behind him, move towards others, until out of good and evil he can emerge into some good that is eternal and infinite.
So, very interesting what he's saying. Okay, he's saying that in this physical world, the question of dualities, no? Dualities are there everywhere in the physical world because both come up. Okay. And what he's saying here is, we will discuss this in detail maybe next time. We have got 5 minutes more. So, the most important thing in this paragraph is how evil and good are all mixed up. Okay, so he's saying that sometimes evil produces good and good produces evil. Okay, so it's very interesting. Okay, so evil also you have to take it in a very broad sense. Evil can be at an absolute bad level and it can also be at a very mild level. Okay, so we can just discuss very briefly examples of this. 1 or 2 examples we can give. Okay, for instance, if you are out of the generosity of your heart, you are helping beggars, okay, and giving them food, okay, what happens? They become dependent on you and they tend to become lazy, which is, and tamasic. They depend on you. So actually your philanthropy is making them go towards the negative side of human nature. Okay, that's one example. But a good example is the colonization that took place from Europe all over the world. Huh? That's a very interesting example. It started as an evil. It started as a wanting to expand. Again, the same, vital. It wants to expand, possess, enjoy, okay, and lord it over others, dominate others. It started in that way. So it was a very bad movement. In fact, in world history, the colonization and the non-colonization after that is a very important event in history. And that's why it is called post-colonialism. Okay, it's a very important landmark in history. And you may also note, interestingly, that it was India's liberation that started the decolonization movement all over the world. In a very short time after India became free, most of the colonies were dissolved. Okay? So that was a crucial turning point. But what did it do good? It did several things which are good. For instance, in India, we had completely lost our political unity. Okay. Then we had also lost our vital vigor. Okay? We had lost the progressive mind. Srinath uses the word progressive mind. And in synthesis, if you remember, he says that the race, the selected race for spiritual life had to be submitted to this domination by an inferior race. Okay, so that is it was necessary because then we would get back our progressive mind. There was no science at that time when the English came in, and they brought in all these things. Their motives are all wrong, but it produced some good. Okay, so of course plenty of wrong things were there, and that discussion is there. If you know Shashi Tharoor's talk in England, where he says that Britain did a lot of damage, and the British love to think that they have done some good also. They built the railways, they have given us an administrative system, a modern system of justice courts and all, okay? And the English language. Remember that the English language, India is greatly advantaged against the Chinese who don't have so much of English. So we are more open to the world. Okay? So there are so many interesting things which are positive. So evil producing good is one example there you can see. Okay? Also, even other things also you can see. When a flood comes and damages things, you call it evil. But when the flood recedes, it enriches the soil with its alluvial deposits. Okay, so this is a forest fire. Okay, is evil. It is destroying, but it regenerates all the weeds and things which are there. All get burnt up, and again the trees are given a new life and they come up. So they're very interesting how evil can produce good, but sometimes your good also can produce evil. As I said, your sense of helping others, okay, so it can damage the people. So, it can damage their effort. Okay? So, there is a very interesting saying in which they say, if you give food to a man, you solve his problem temporarily. But if you teach a man if you give a fish to a man, he will be satisfied with one meal. But if you teach him how to fish, he has solved his problem forever. So something like that depends on how you are helping the people. It can sometimes produce evil. But if you do it in the right way, it can produce also good. Good will produce good, and evil will produce evil. And vice versa. It can happen the other way around also. So 8:40, and we can stop here. It's a very interesting para. But next time, if it is clear, it's quite clear actually what he's saying. In other words, he's pointing out that the vital by itself is neither good nor bad. It's all a mixture. That's why in the yogic life, we have to purify the vital. Then only the good comes out of it. It becomes pure energy. Okay. We stop here. Jasmine, you want to say something?
You know, last time you told us about Ram and why he abandoned Sita and all that.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. So can you elaborate why he did it?
Okay. Then all these the WhatsApp messages are all very, very clear. Share those explanations. Okay. So I'll send you. Have you received them? I'll send you all those. Share those explanations about Ram. Okay. So what you think it is? Srivendra is very, very clear about Ram. But what I said is something interesting, that why he okay, I'll just say that in short while because I don't have an experience. So actually, when Ram is claiming Sita back again, okay, what does it mean? It's a symbol of your consciousness claiming back your lower, the Purusha claiming back Prakriti. In other words, you want to become master of your body, mind, life. Then Ram and Sita become one. Okay, Sita is the Prakriti and Ram is the Purusha. And that's very obvious from the symbol because Sita is born from the earth. Nothing could be clearer than that. Which part of you is born from the earth? Your body, your vital and your mind is coming from the earth. So very clearly, Sita is the Prakriti. Okay, and therefore Ram is the Purusha, the consciousness, the soul. So when you have, your soul must possess your body, mind, life, it has to become pure. And purity comes by Agni Pariksha. It's a heat that produces the purification process. Even in the physical world, no? It is heat that purifies. Take the iron ore. Okay, you heat it, it purifies. The ore comes out and the slag comes out elsewhere. Okay, so Sita going through Agni Pariksha is only a symbol of the purification of the Prakriti, your body, mind, life. Then finally, when he gives, why does he give up and send her away? There are other explanations. That's the beauty of the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So many explanations. Well, my explanation is, okay, I tell you, Mother is saying in her agenda, she is saying that my mind has become silent, and you can say in a certain sense that the mind has gone away. In fact, in spiritual life, they speak of the death of the mind. Okay. Now, Mother is saying, my mind became silent long ago, but now even my vital has gone away. Only the body is remaining. Okay, she says that. The vital has gone away. So, has gone away means what? Your Prakriti has gone away. So, when Ram wants to get the ultimate resolution, he has to send away Sita. He has to send away his mind, he has to send away his vital, and even his body, he has to send away. Because pure spirit is without body. That is my explanation. And if you think clearly about it a little deeply, you will see that it does make sense. But of course, there are other explanations why he sent away Sita, because he was establishing a moral rule. Okay? And I'll send you those WhatsApp messages where Srivendra explains Ram's role in the physical world. Okay? In the story itself, it is that one Dhobi or something, he was a very ordinary man. Dhobi, the normal mentality of man, he criticized and said, why did Ram accept Sita? She lived with somebody else, with Ravana, and she is impure. So why does he do that? So in the story, it is because he was charged with this statement, he sent Sita away to the forest. Okay? That's one explanation. He is a moral being and he has to establish a moral rule. Okay? So it's not his business to do anything else, but establish morality. Okay, Yasmin, it's time. We have got 5 minutes beyond our time, and I will send you those messages. Okay? I think there are 2 or 3. They are very interesting. Share those words on Ram. Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rangada.
Thank you, Rangada.
Have a nice day.